Hi, Micah here from Micah Health and Fitness, and today's topic is an absolute game changer. We'll be talking about gluten. And when I'm talking about gluten, I'm talking about the impact it has on all of us. So not just someone who has celiac, gluten intolerance, or irritable bowel, but the impact that it's going to have on the general population regardless. So when we talk about gluten, we're mainly talking about wheat flour, the product wheat flour, and where I'm going to be revealing what detrimental things it is doing to your body. But I'm also going to show you the common foods you can find gluten, and then I'm going to show you some alternatives that are going to allow you to walk into a maximized, amazing, more healthy lifestyle. So let's go into what gluten is doing to your body. So gluten is a pro-inflammatory. So that means that it can cause inflammation in the body. Now that may manifest as pain or unwellness. When we talk about pain, it could be joint pain, it could be achiness, stiffness, or in your body. When we talk about unwellness, it can be to the extreme end of autoimmune disease and other chronic diseases, or it could be as mild as feeling a bit flat, fatigued, lethargic, low energy. So that's where we're talking about the inflammatory process. The second thing that gluten can do is that it may increase your fat storage, so which will drive weight gain and obesity. So that's definitely an area that if we can avoid, we want to do that 100%. Now then, the third thing is there, and this is get your head around it, but that there's a structure in wheat that ultimately breaks down into sugar rapidly. And when we eat food, we don't really want it to break down into sugar rapidly, because what that will do is it will make you become insulin resistant and can lead to things as far as diabetes. So that's what's happening with the structure in wheat in your body. So and from my perspective, there is very small amounts of gluten in my overall diet, and I look to have amazing healthy alternatives wherever possible. Okay, so that being said, let's look at where gluten is found in your diet commonly. Okay, so the common foods include pasta. So obvious that most pastas are made with flour, and also noodles. So then you have noodles and pasta, and then the most common one in the New Zealand diet is probably bread. Bread we consume under eggs and under breakfast, in our lunch, or on the sides of dinner. And that is probably the main culprit that is driving up the inflammation and unwellness in our bodies. So then, when we talked about breads, that also covers pastries and wraps, because I have a lot of clients who go, hey, I don't have bread anymore, I have wraps. Same thing. So just remember that it's sort of blanketed under the same category. Baked goods. Now, baked goods include your cakes, your cookies and biscuits, your crackers. And as a side note, watch out for a video coming out. It's totally about crackers and how some are healthy for you and some are not, and how you can navigate through that, because I know crackers are quite a popular thing for a lot of New Zealanders as well, and maybe throughout the world. Now, also brownies and other things in your baked goods like slices, etc. And one that you may not be aware of is cereals and granolas and cornflakes. Those sorts of breakfasts have wheat in them, and so you can have a look if wheat flour or wheat is one of the top ingredients. Definitely loaded with gluten. Pancakes, love them, but they're on very special occasions, or you might be looking for alternatives in the ingredients you use in them. Soups, sauces and gravies. They may have smaller levels, but often they're used as a thickener. So it's just to be aware that their gluten can kind of be chucked in lots of the products that we commonly use. Then we go to things like beer. So if you are a big beer drinker, you may look like, well, let's see if I can reduce that by half, because that's going to mean that my body can change, that my health, my energy can be benefited by lowering that intake of beer. Then we go into things like muesli bars, granola bars, health bars, snack bars. A lot of them are made, your Weight Watchers bars, a lot of them have gluten in them. So be really aware. It's probably better to make your own or use alternatives there, which I'll go over soon. And then processed lunch meat, surprise, surprise. But anything that's super processed, so your luncheon sausage, some of your hams and things like that. And then one of my favorites, which I always have to make a special base, is pizza. So those are your most common foods. There are some other ones, but I'm talking about the general ones. So if you're celiac or irritable bowel, you might want to look up what the other sneaky ones are on top of those. So why should we have an alternative? Avoiding gluten or replacing it can only lead to health benefits. And what health benefits are they going to lead to? Well, your first one is an increased metabolism. Awesome. Your second one is favorable body composition changes. So awesome when you think like, whoa, the best possible me physically can be improved by just reducing or excluding gluten. And finally, you'll reduce those inflammatory symptoms. So you can reduce your pain, you can increase your energy. So that is what you can walk into when you start to take these alternatives. What are the alternatives? Well, let's get into them. Your alternatives are, you can replace a bit of sweet potato or KUMARA or pumpkin or squash, however you call it, that they can do some great things for your gut health, and they've got no gluten in them, but they still have that filling, starchy feeling. If you're on a low carbohydrate diet, then maybe just have small portions of it and not so often. Now then, the next thing is if you're a pasta fiend or you're always looking for that extra side dish, I use two things. ZOODLES, which just Google it, is pretty much zucchini spiralized and cooked really lightly. It's super easy, just look it up. The second one, which I use, and my kids like it as well, is they're gluten-free type pastas. But often they're made with pulses, which include your legumes and chickpeas and lentils and things like that, and it actually tastes great. So there is Cerise do some is a brand, and another brand that I find I've tried a few is the best, and it only takes like 8 minutes to cook, is San Remo, and they do your spaghetti and your spirals and all sorts, and I find that really great to make in any of your typical pasta dishes. So there's a couple of alternatives there for when you have pasta. So if you're a bread fiend, then it is worth having some gluten-free bread, but that should not be your go-to. So if you're someone who has toast for breakfast, sandwiches for lunch, and there's bread everywhere, that doesn't mean just replace it all with gluten-free bread. You want to try some of these other alternatives, but maybe have some gluten-free bread in your freezer that you pull a piece out to have under eggs in the weekend, or that you have as like a every so often food. Then the other alternative you could have to say sandwiches would be rice wafers. So rice wafers, they're kind of puffy. They're about the size of your palm, and you can load them with anything that you would have in your normal sandwich. So you can chuck your tuna, you can chuck your avo, you can chuck a bit of salad, tomato, hummus, all those sorts of things, and you've got a power-packed loaded cracker rather than having your typical sandwich. Not too bad, eh? So then we could also go to, if you've got that sweet tooth, there's loads of raw slices that you can look up. Often they can be really pricey to make, because I know that cakes and biscuits can be super cheap at supermarkets, but the cheap price is not worth it on your health. So a go-to for our family are power balls, and you can find a really simple, quick recipe on my website, which is Micah, M-I-C, like Mike, and A-H, like M-I-C-A-H micahfitness.co.nz. If you go to Awesome Stuff, that's got all of our fitness tips, nutrition recipes, and you can find the Powerball recipe in there. It is so easy. Your kids will like it as well, and they keep in the freezer, so you can make a big batch, and that can be your go-to little sweet treat. You can look up some more, but that's one of our favorites. Sea crackers is also one you could Google. Google sea crackers if you're a big cracker fiend, and there are some great recipes to make on there. They're pretty, they can be made pretty cheaply, and it just takes the rolling of making sure they're nice and flat to keep them crispy. What else can you do? The other big step which may not be what you want to hear, is that you can just increase your green intake, increase your salad intake. So imagine you as someone who has a sandwich and it's got salad in it, and you think like, well, that's pretty healthy. But imagine if you like doubled or tripled or quadrupled the size of that salad and up those ingredients and added a little bit of meat or some amazing good fats like avocado, and you had some seeds and nuts, and you got your leafy greens, and you got all your sorts of sprouts in there. Imagine having that instead of your sandwich. Imagine what that's doing to your insides. Your gut health is improving, your metabolism is improving, your energy, your longevity, everything is improving. I know that's a big step, but every healthy salad loaded with goodness that you have instead of bread or some kind of gluten or some kind of packeted bar is going to be a step further in your health journey. So I hope you've really enjoyed this. So if you think making these changes may be a little bit hard, but just make any little change you can. It is absolutely worth the effort. You walking into a faster metabolism, you walking into greater body composition, more energy, less inflammation, and a more vibrant you is absolutely worth the effort. So for more information and to learn more about anything health, anything fitness, go to micahfitness.co.nz.